First off, I'd like to thank these amazing people who decided to support me directly and make my work here on the platform so much easier. And remember, if you also want to help me out, the missile knows where the join button is at all times. Hello pilots, how have your battles been? Mine have been great. Today I'm flying the Typhoon. The last time I dropped a video with it, the jet only had AIM 120B, and since then it was also one of the planes blessed with the ability to carry AIM 120C5. But I'll tell you right now, after testing this jet with the new AMRAAM, I didn't feel like it made that much of a difference. And I can't really say if it's good or bad. To help you figure that out, I played full matches only with the C5 and full matches only with the 120B, just to clear that doubt. And of course, for the first match, I'll go with what's new. Even if you've watched my videos where the plane already carries this missile or not, you know that the AIM 120C5 is a missile fully optimized for long-range fights. It has lower acceleration, but it's set up to last longer, smaller control surfaces, and a flight controller also tuned so the missile keeps good speed in turns, or when it does that loft, everyone loves watching when it happens. So I'm gonna try firing this missile from longer ranges and play in a way where I don't get too close to enemies, or at least that's what I'll try. Right at the start, I'm firing at this speed, cause if I get closer, I might take a risk I don't want right now. If the enemy slips up, they're dead. If they defend, they'll probably dodge my missile. My goal here is just to soften the impact those higher enemies are gonna have on my teammates. One thing people don't get is BVR is a thankless job but still necessary. Even in the real world, it has the lowest hit rate per missile fired. It's the same in War Thunder. No matter the missile's performance or electronic power, this phase of combat has the most offensive options: maneuvers, support systems, and electronic defenses like jammers and so on. Usually in BVR, a missile at best will hit 50 to 60% of the time inside half its NES, especially against a highly maneuverable target like a fighter. And honestly, that's kind of funny, because NES stands for no escape zone. So in theory, during your escape zone, that target should be killed with much higher chances. But that's not what happens. Don't fall for the marketing, no matter the maker. Usually when a plane gets taken down in BVR, it's because the pilot took more risk than it was worth to reach an objective, or because they watched too much TikTok and got distracted, like the guys in this match. In a fair match, what happened here rarely happens consistently. So don't waste missiles, only use them in situations like the ones I fired in. If possible, even better, maybe getting closer or flying a bit higher is worth it, but always remember to stay really fast. Here you also have to consider that I got lucky facing a bunch of satellite gameplay enjoyers, which makes using the C5 even more effective. Now I'm in a kinda tricky spot, but nothing a good defense can't fix. Since this guy doesn't have any missiles like a Micah, an R77-1, or a Derby, I can bait him and force a dogfight. Okay, I really don't get what this guy was trying to do. He could have run or kept turning to make it harder for me, but he chose the option that made my job even easier, staying in an aspect that's hard to dodge my 9M. Now there's something else to deal with. My team got crushed, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to get back to the airfield and still try to win this match almost solo. So I'll come back after I rearm. Before heading back to the airfield, I'll give a tip and some context for why I picked the British Eurofighter for this video. Basically, Great Britain teams up directly with France in matchmaking, so you usually don't face Rafales. That makes the game way more fun, especially if all the Rafales on your team don't know how to play. It keeps the match balanced, since no one on the enemy team has to deal with an overpowered jet. Everyone who wants a normal game experience ends up happy. Alright, I just finished rearming, but I see a guy coming straight for me, pretty close already, so I'm gonna have to use some unusual methods to survive. With this kind of takeoff, I'm already in a good enough position to defend myself more easily. But if you mess up your timing and the guy's already on top of you, there's not much you can do besides praying to the big guy upstairs. But since everything looks fine here, I just wait for the frag. I know this kind of situation already. Now it's just about dealing with the other targets that are already coming in, which honestly isn't an easy mission. Just from what's showing up on the RWR, you can see everyone has a better radar than me. Meanwhile, my best locating tool is the RWR, because this radar, let me tell you, it's better not to trust it too much. You can also see the targets are pretty spread out, so I'm stuck doing defensive circles here. Well folks, it all ended so fast, and I literally had no idea where that missile came from. That guy was probably just on HMD, and it was his last missile. Just bad karma for me. I almost managed to win the match. Now, forgetting the last match and focusing on the new one, I'm gonna play this one the way I like flying the Eurofighter the most, which is ignoring BVR and trying to flank to play more aggressively. That's pretty different from how you'd play with C5, which is more team-oriented, like a Guardian or something. Here, I can play like an extremely aggressive gladiator. That's what I'm talking about. Hardly anyone with C5 would do this. Plus, I can run this 5-4 payload that gives me an extra missile. And I genuinely like the 9M on the Eurofighter because of the jet's speed. It really boosts the distance the missile can reach. I think it's pretty clear from the previous example how playing with each payload is different. The 120B lets you make more aggressive pushes, start plays, and work with the moves your team sets up. Here, you do the opposite. At least in my view, these missiles have roles that are well defined in the game. That aggressive style has been classic since the Eurofighter came to the game. Almost all my videos with it were like that. So I'll stick with the C5 gameplay, which isn't my favorite, but someone's got to show it to you, right? Now I'm sticking with the same positioning plan from the first match. I'll join the BVR and try to mess up the spots the enemy takes. That's basically it, no secret. All while playing from a safe distance. Eventually, some targets will get close to you, but that's on your team. That's what a team is supposed to do. As long as those closer targets don't attack you, there's no reason to change your position. At this point in the match, you're expected to still be in a good spot. Now that most of the threats are gone, I can keep pushing with my teammates, especially since up ahead there are geographic features that'll help me defend against any targets flying above the mountains. Well, part of me was ready to get killed by a mate, not gonna lie. Now I just need to find the last guy and I'll be back. Alright, we've reached the last match of the video where I'll eventually share a bit of my conclusion. So the Typhoon follows pretty much the same path as the other jets that got the C5. Although I think out of all of them, it's the plane that can make the best use of this missile because it stays fast throughout the match and has way better maneuverability than the F-15. You can give the missile a much better lead, especially when the target is really close. Even though it's not ideal, you can still get the job done. This missile isn't going to save the Typhoon, and it won't close the gap against a Rafale, for example. As I've explained in other videos, what sets it apart from the Rafale is the platform as a whole. Performance, missile with a stronger warhead for no particular reason. As long as the Rafale keeps those advantages, nothing's going to change. So, to not repeat myself too much, I'll let you watch the last match. As usual, my usual commentary is a bit lighter here for those who like to watch a quieter match and try to understand the gameplay on their own with what you've learned throughout the video. Don't forget, I'll come back at the end to say goodbye, so stick around. Alright folks, that's all for today. Hope you liked it. Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Tell me down in the comments. Your feedback is super important to me. The video ends, but the chat stays. Karma out.